Wow. Yeah, you weren't kidding about having a lot of AI news for us. It was like October 25th, 2024 was quite the day for AI.
Yeah.
New models, ethical questions, even a few funny ones in here.
Yeah. Ready to dive in?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Okay. Sometimes it feels like AI is changing so fast it's hard to even keep up, so that's why we're here, right?
Right.
And try to figure out what's actually important for people to know.
Yeah, cut through the noise.
Yeah.
Well, first up, looks like the competition between the big AI labs is heating up, which is, I mean, this is good, right? Competition breeds innovation.
It does, yeah.
So OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, is getting ready to release their next big model.
Oh,
They're
wow.
calling it Orion. And it's supposed to be even more powerful than GPT-4, which is already, pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But they're taking a different approach with the rollout this time.
Oh, okay.
Instead of just releasing it to everybody, they're giving early access to a select group of partner companies so they can test it out, work out any bugs, get feedback.
I see, I see.
It's interesting. And actually, I noticed in this article it mentioned that Orion is probably going to be hosted on Microsoft's Azure platform.
Interesting.
It makes you wonder, is this part of that huge, I think it was like $6.6 billion
Right.
that Microsoft invested in OpenAI?
Right.
It's starting to feel like more of a partnership than just an investment.
Yeah, and especially when you consider that OpenAI has been moving, shifting more towards a for-profit model, it does raise some interesting questions.
Absolutely.
Are they moving away from their original goal of making AI accessible to everyone? Could this lead to a situation where only, big tech companies can even get access to the most advanced AI?
Yeah, it's something to watch.
Yeah.
But it's not just OpenAI making big moves. Anthropic, another um, big player in the AI world, just upgraded their Claude AI, and it can actually now run and write JavaScript code.
Wow.
I mean, think about the possibilities there.
Yeah, that's incredible.
You can just tell it what you want it to do, and it will do it.
It's a game changer for anyone working with data, right?
Yeah.
Imagine like a marketing team being able to analyze campaign performance, a sales team identifying trends, or, developers building dashboards, all within a chat interface.
Yeah.
No more switching between programs.
Yeah, and it's not just like a gimmick. This article mentioned that Claude's coding abilities have actually significantly improved. They're crushing the competition on a lot of these standardized programming tests.
So it really does show you how quickly things are evolving. It's not just about chatbots anymore. These are, becoming powerful tools for all sorts of tasks.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of evolving, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about ethics. Because it seems like every week there's a new story about AI being used in a way that's a little questionable.
For sure.
And I think it's important to have these conversations. For example, Google Photos just announced that they're going to start disclosing when images have been edited with AI.
Okay. Oh.
But they're not going to use any kind of visual watermark.
So you won't necessarily know just by looking at an image. You'd have to dig into the metadata to figure out if it's been altered.
Right.
I wonder, is that enough?
I don't, yeah.
It feels like we need a better way to be able to tell the difference between real images and AI-generated ones.
Especially now with the rise of deepfakes and all these image manipulation tools.
Definitely.
Speaking of, well, actually, this is kind of related. OpenAI just disbanded their AGI Readiness team, which, if you remember, they were the ones focused on preparing for the potential risks of increasingly powerful AI. Didn't they also disband their super alignment team back in May? That one was focused on, like, how to control and align super intelligent AI.
Yeah, and so to see OpenAI, a company that talks a lot about safety, dismantling these teams is a little strange.
It's interesting. What are the priorities?
Yeah. Speaking of questioning things, did you see that story about those Redditors trying to poison Google's AI?
Yeah, the ones trying to, like, keep tourists away from their favorite restaurants and stuff. It's so funny.
Yeah.
But also kind of scary.
They're like flooding Google with these fake negative reviews, hoping to trick the AI into recommending other places.
It is. It's pretty clever.
But also it really highlights, that these systems aren't perfect.
Right.
They can be manipulated sometimes in not so good ways.
Yeah. Well, that kind of brings us to our next topic.
Yeah.
How governments and big tech companies are dealing with this power.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is real power.
Yeah.
So President Biden just issued a memorandum directing all federal agencies to, adopt AI, but also to set some really clear boundaries, which is important.
Yeah, this is big because it signals that the U.S. government is recognizing AI as a national security concern. The memo outlined some pretty specific rules, like, no AI making decisions about nuclear weapons, no using AI in targeting systems without human oversight.
Right.
And it also stresses the need to beef up our AI chip infrastructure and to protect our, AI labs here from espionage.
It's clear that that they're taking it seriously, looking at it from all sides.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Meta just signed a deal with Reuters. They're going to use Reuters reporting in Meta's AI chatbot.
Okay.
So that means they'll be giving users summaries and links to relevant articles. But this is actually the first time Meta's agreed to license any news content for their AI.
Great.
Makes you wonder if this could be a sign that that other big tech companies might start paying news organizations for their content.
Yeah, especially with all this debate about whether or not these platforms should be paying news outlets for using their material.
Right. This could be the first step.
Yeah.
Or, maybe Meta's just trying to get ahead of regulations that might force them to do it anyway.
Right.
Okay, so speaking of blurring the lines between what's real and what's not, Midjourney just released this super powerful new image editor. And the crazy thing is, it can manipulate ANOI image, even ones that weren't made by Midjourney.
Wow.
So they can retexture images, expand them, change the style, all from a simple text prompt.
So you can imagine the creative possibilities, but also the potential for misuse.
It's like they gave Photoshop superpowers
Right.
and then just gave it to everyone.
Yeah.
They said it's in limited release right now, but it's going to be available to everyone soon. It could be amazing for, artist designers, but it also makes it that much easier to create deepfakes that are very convincing.
Which brings us back to that whole thing about trust.
Right.
How do we navigate a world where you can't even, you don't even know if what you're seeing is real?
I know, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we need to take a breath for a second and process all this.
Yeah.
Because that was a lot. But we're not done yet.
Yeah.
There's even more to cover in part 2.
So welcome back to our AI deep dive. All this stuff from October 25th. We were just talking about Midjourney's new image editor and how easy it makes it to create these really convincing deep fakes.
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels like we're entering this world where we can't trust anything we see online. How do we even begin to deal with that?
It's a huge challenge. I think it comes down to just being more critical of everything we see, question the source, look for things that don't quite add up.
It's like that old saying, don't believe everything you read on the internet, but times 1,000 now.
Yeah, for sure.
But hey, let's not get too doom and gloom.
Yeah.
There's still amazing stuff happening in AI.
Absolutely.
Remember Anthropic, the company behind Claude, the code writing AI?
Yes.
Well, they've actually created a tool that lets Claude analyze data and build things right there in the chat itself.
Wow.
You can have a conversation with the AI, and in that same conversation, you can ask it to, process some data, make a chart, even build a simple web app.
So you're saying we could potentially kiss spreadsheets goodbye?
Maybe.
Data analysis software, all those complicated tools.
It would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it really shows how AI is getting more and more woven into our everyday lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not these separate apps anymore. It's becoming part of the stuff we already use.
Okay. Learn to code with AI, officially added to my to-do list.
Right?
But before we all become, coding wizards, let's talk about Apple. They've been pretty quiet about their AI plans, but this week, they made a pretty big announcement.
Yeah, they launched a bug bounty program for their private AI cloud.
And they're offering $1 million to anyone who can find a vulnerability.
That's a lot of money.
That's a huge statement.
Mm-hmm.
$1 million. They must be really serious about security.
Makes sense, though, right?
Yeah.
Especially with their big AI cloud launch happening next week. They're, famous for their focus on privacy. So it makes sense for them to be proactive and, address any potential concerns.
Right.
It definitely shows that they're, thinking about responsible AI development.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, let's go back to OpenAI for a second. Earlier, we were talking about them, getting rid of some of their safety-focused teams.
Indeed.
But there's more to that story. So at this AI conference, their chief scientist, Noam Brown, he revealed something really interesting. He found that by giving their AI models a short pause, just 20 seconds to think before they respond, led to huge improvements in performance.
Wait, so just by letting the AI process information for a few extra seconds, they saw these big jumps in accuracy and efficiency.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it really highlights that there's more to AI development than just raw computing power, right?
Right.
Sometimes slowing down, letting the AI reason a little bit, that can be a breakthrough.
It's like giving like a student time to study instead of cramming at the last minute.
Exactly.
While we're talking about breakthroughs, have you seen this article about a life-size humanoid robot?
I haven't.
It's called SE01, and it's made by this Chinese robotic startup called Engine AI, and they're saying it moves way more naturally than other robots we've seen.
Yeah, robotics is a really interesting area of AI, and it's moving really fast. I mean, imagine like robots that can move through complex environments, perform delicate tasks, maybe even care for the elderly. It's like science fiction becoming reality.
It's amazing and also kind of creepy, to be
Oh,
honest.
yeah.
Speaking of pushing boundaries, Google's DeepMind is working on this project that wants to use AI to actually tackle the problem of hate,
Oh,
which is ambitious.
yeah.
They think that AI could be used to, like, understand the root causes of hate, identify patterns of abuse online, and even, like, develop ways to promote empathy.
That's incredible, but also, a little terrifying. Are we ready to give AI that much power over something as complex as human emotion?
Yeah,
It definitely raises questions about the ethics of it all. Who decides what is hate?
right.
How do we make sure these systems aren't biased? These are important conversations we need to have.
It's not just about hate either. People are figuring out all sorts of ways to exploit AI for good and bad. Remember those Redditors trying to trick Google's AI? That's just like the tip of the iceberg.
It's a reminder that AI is a tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used in different ways. It depends on us how we choose to use it. And that's why education is so important now.
Yeah.
We need to understand how these systems work. What are the limitations? How can they impact us?
Right. We can't just be passive consumers of all this, right?
Right.
We have to be informed citizens. We have to think critically. We have to be involved in these conversations and advocate for, responsible AI development.
Exactly. And that's why we're doing this whole deep dive, right?
Yeah.
It's not about overwhelming you with information.
Yeah, it's about giving you the tools.
Yeah, giving you the tools you need to understand what's going on and form your own opinion.
So what are your thoughts so far? What has stood out to you? What are you curious about? Think about those questions as we head into part 3, where we're going to explore um, even more fascinating things in this crazy world of AI. Welcome back. Final part of our AI news roundup. Man, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little overwhelmed with all this stuff.
Yeah, it is a lot of amazing things, a lot of, kind of unsettling things too.
We've seen AI being used to create art, write code, even like try to understand human emotions.
Yeah.
But we've also seen, the potential downsides, the ethical stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like we're standing on the edge of something huge,
Yeah.
and we're not quite sure what's going to happen.
Right.
But hey, instead of just speculating, let's talk about some of the cool tools and resources that are out there right now.
Okay.
So I was reading about Runway Act 1.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
you seen this?
Yeah.
It lets you create like realistic character performances in videos
Yeah.
using like just simple inputs.
It's amazing what Runway is doing with like AI-powered video creation and editing. It's incredible.
The possibilities are, for animators,
Yeah.
filmmakers.
Even everyday people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like having an AI puppeteer at your fingertips.
Yes.
And speaking of making things easier, there's this resource called AI and Machine Learning for Dummies PRO,
Okay.
which sounds, maybe a little basic, but it actually seems really good for anyone who's just kind of like, okay, I want to learn more about this AI stuff, but where do I even start?
Yeah. It's a great way to learn the basics, without getting lost in all the technical jargon. And they actually have like interactive simulations, visual learning tools, so you can really play around with AI concepts.
Yeah, it's got to be more engaging than just reading a textbook, right?
For sure.
And it's not just for beginners. They cover some like pretty serious certifications too, like those AWS and Azure AI exams.
So whether you're just starting out or, you're ready to jump into a career in machine learning, there's something out there for everyone.
Right. Okay, so I feel like we've covered a ton today.
We have.
So, stepping back from all this news, from all these specific stories, what's the one big takeaway you want our listener to walk away with?
I think the most important thing is to remember that AI isn't some far-off thing.
Mhm.
It's here.
It's happening now.
It's already affecting our lives in so many ways.
We're not just talking about like, robots and self-driving cars, right? It's in our social media, our shopping recommendations, even our healthcare.
Exactly. So the question isn't if AI will change the world, it's how it will change the world. How are we going to manage that change?
Yeah. Will we use it to make things better?
Mm.
Or will it, make some of our problems even worse?
These are big questions, and they're not just for, like, the tech experts to answer. They're questions for all of us.
Right, because we're all going to be affected by this. So, listener, as we wrap up this deep dive into the AI news from October 25th, we want to leave you with a challenge. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and, keep pushing for an AI future that benefits everyone.
Because the possibilities are endless, and the future is up to us.
That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, stay curious.